Good evening, everybody. This is a recipe I've been wanting to do for absolutely ages, but some things are really hard to find here in Ireland. I was trawling eBay and I come across these lovely things. Now they're cannoli forms, so finally I can bring cannoli to Ireland. So we're going to make some cannolis today. So hopefully you'll enjoy them. They're absolutely fantastic. They originate from Sicily cannoli, otherwise called cannolo as well. It basically just means thin long tube, just like this. So we're going to make that this evening. So we're going to start with the dough that we need to make the cannoli shells. So here I have 275 grams of plain flour. Americans would call this all-purpose flour if you're based in the US. And also what I have here, I have 1 teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of cocoa powder. So we're going to pop that in as well. And also here I have 50 grams of butter. Pop that in. Okay, and we're just going to whisk that up. Now at this point we want to use our hands and basically just kind of make the dough to almost it forms breadcrumbs. So we'll just keep working that together, hoping that the butter will combine to form a breadcrumb kind of texture. There we go, getting there. So that literally has taken minutes to form a crumbly type texture. Now into this mix we want to put in 2 eggs, so 2 whole eggs, so that's the egg yolk and the egg whites, so they go in as well. Now just using a fork, I'm initially going to fold the flour inwards towards the eggs. This will hopefully stop the eggs sticking so much to my hands when I'm forming the dough. Now at this point we want to get our hands involved and just help kind of knead that together. There we go. And now it's starting to combine. Don't worry about loose bits because the dough will start collecting the loose bits here. Working that together. Now when it's a little bit crumbly like this, now's the perfect time to add a couple of secret ingredients into there. So slowly we want to add around about 10 mils of just white wine vinegar. So really just a couple of drops. And start working that in to the dough. It's becoming a little bit wetter. And then around about 30 mils of my favourite, some amaretto, lovely Disaronno here. So around about 30 mils of Disaronno go on there. Traditionally, Sicilians would be using masala wine, but I have really struggled to find masala. But this is my recipe, and I love amaretto, so I'm going to stick some amaretto in. So again, as it said, about 30 mils, and then work that into the dough. Right, now the dough is becoming quite wet there with the amaretto, so what we can do is just add a little bit more plain flour. Now the reason it was wet is just to ensure that the amaretto gets mixed in thoroughly. So we can just add a little bit of flour at a time, just so we can start getting that to a doughy type consistency, ready for kneading. So again in there, still a bit sticky, so we'll pop in a little bit more flour. Now just small bits, these aren't measured quantities because we don't want to get it wrong. So you're just doing this by sight really. Okay. Now that's almost perfect there. So lightly flour your work surface and just knead it for a few minutes. So you're going to do this for about 3 to 4 minutes, just kneading. And kneading is obviously pushing down with the back of your heel, of your hand, pushing that out and pulling it back. So you're kneading the dough. Basically combining it, so we want to kind of get it almost like a pasta dough where it's a little bit elasticy and it's holding together. Now if for whatever reason it's crumbly and you don't think it's right, stop and maybe pop in another egg would be a good suggestion. Now we've been kneading this for a couple of minutes now, and I know it's starting to come together perfectly because just like a pasta dough, we want it to get a little bit stretchy. So if you come over here and have a look at this, right, this is the dough pretty much complete. As you can see here, it's stretchable, it's elasticy. And that's exactly what we want. So we're just going to knead that back together again. And after about another 30 seconds of doing this, hold it up, push it down, nice ball. And what we want to do is just cover that in cling film. Wrap it up fairly tightly, not too tight. And just leave that to rest in the fridge for about half an hour before we cut our cannoli shapes. So into the fridge we go. Right. While we're waiting for the dough to firm up in the fridge, it's a perfect idea to sort out the filling of what we're actually going to pop into the cannoli. Traditionally, Sicilians would use like a goat's ricotta, but this is just regular ricotta. I got this from the supermarket today. So this is 500 grams of ricotta cheese. As you can see, I've taken it out of the packaging. It's just been sitting for about 30 minutes. That's just to help dry it out a little bit. So we're going to stick the ricotta cheese into the bowl. Along with 100 grams of icing sugar. So just pop that in. Also, I have here just kind of a small bit of orange zest, so I just scraped that earlier on. And also we want to pop in just some seeds from a vanilla pod. So we're just going to cut that open. Like so. If it wants to come out. There we go. We've got a few vanilla seeds in there. And some more. Perfect. And that's half a vanilla pod, so we've popped that in there. Also what I have here, I have some kind of glacé candied mixed fruit. So we're going to pop that in as well. All the weights and measures for everything will be on the website on the blog, okay? So what we're going to do, we're just going to whisk this up now until it becomes kind of a nice smooth, silky texture. So we're just going to break this down and just start whisking it up. And it should loosen up quite well. Try not to get the icing sugar absolutely everywhere. So we're looking for a nice smooth and silky texture. Quick way to go yet. Now it's a good idea at this stage to taste the ricotta mix and make sure it's sweet enough for you. Obviously if you're not a fan of things over sweet, then you can reduce the amount of sugar that you put in there, or you can increase it. So that's pretty good, pretty good. So I'm happy with that. Now I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of vanilla essence in there. This is just going to help bind everything together. It's about 1 teaspoon again. Mix it up. Perfect. So that's absolutely fantastic. So that's ready to basically go in a piping bag, and we'll use that later on. Now, if you haven't got icing sugar, you can use regular caster sugar. Obviously, we're going with a smooth texture. It has got a kind of a slightly dry taste with the icing sugar, but you can swiggle that off if you wanted to. But it's absolutely lovely, it's fantastic. So with the candied mixed fruit, it's very traditional as to what the Italians would do and have in theirs as well. So that's spot on, and we're just going to pop that in a piping bag and leave that for later. Right, so we've got our dough out of the fridge. It's been about half an hour. Looking at that, ideally, I think we should be leaving it in for an hour. So you just want to kind of get it firmed up, but we're just going to chance our arm here and have a go at this a bit earlier than expected. It should still be okay. So we've got our dough out here, so that's perfect. Again, lightly floured surface. Now what we want to do is literally just kind of cut a slice off. Let's do that here so you can see. So we're going to cut a slice off of our dough. Look at that, perfectly tight. So you know that's good. That's the consistency we're looking for in our dough. So we're just going to set that aside there for a second. Now, on a floured surface, floured rolling pin, we just want to start rolling that out as thin as possible. Now you could use a pasta machine for this if you have one. Put it on the number 1 setting and just try and get that as thin as possible. So this is really no different to the way that I would kind of make pasta with just longer sheets. So that's almost translucent, so the light is kind of shining through that. You can see my hand. So that's pretty spot on there. And what we want to do, you want to get like a good circle. It's around about like a 4 to 5 inch circle that we're looking for. So what we'll do, we will just cut out a circle here. And be as neat as you can. But look, this is home cooking, so don't worry if it's not perfect. And then just lift that up, and we got our first cannoli pastry. Now, this is where our cannoli forms come in very, very handy. So what we do, we just basically wrap that around the cannoli form. On this bit with our egg white, we just want to brush the lip with the egg white there, and this is just going to help make it stick together. So we're just going to roll that up nice and tight, give it a bit of a squeeze, and perfect. That one's set and ready. So again, just on a little bit of a floured area, leave them to rest there, and repeat the process and do the other cannoli forms. Now what we've got here now they're all done, the cannoli forms. Traditionally, cannolis are very, very small, okay? but you can obviously make the circles a little bit bigger if you wanted to. It's about personal choice, but traditionally, you know, cannolis, they're supposed to be relatively small and nice little bites. So what we're going to do, we're just going to heat up some oil and we'll take them there and we'll show you the next step in just a second. Okay, now I don't possess a deep fat fryer, so I've got some vegetable oil in here, so we're looking about 3 to 4 inch depth in a pan, and I've just got some bread in here at the minute, and that's a good indication, just watching the bread when it starts to become a little bit crispy, that the oil is relatively ready for frying. Now if you have a fryer, you're looking at 180 Celsius for that. Now what we do now, when the oil's ready, with some tongs here, get your cannoli form. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky to pick up, I'm sure. So I might as well just use that and pop that in gently. Now that's frying away. While that's doing that, I'll get another one in. And just make sure you keep them separated from the other tube, I guess, just so they seal up. Now we're looking for about 1 to 2 minutes, or until they're kind of golden in colour. Look at them, they're absolutely perfect, these cannolis. Yeah, come and have a look. Now what we've done here, we've just laid that on a kitchen towel there, just to absorb some of the excess grease really that could be there. It doesn't absorb too much of the oil, but also we have to let these cannoli forms cool down a little bit. So it's probably going to take around about 4 or 5 minutes and then get a little bit cooler. Now, you know, for the sake of doing it, I'll probably just use a tea towel and just try and slide them off gently. Right, they've come out just perfect, spot on. So I've made these a little bit smaller, but what we're looking at here, we've got these lovely tubes here, so the dough's come out absolutely spot on. It's a little bit aerated there, so that's absolutely perfect. So that's ready for the filling, if you can see that there. It's absolutely fantastic. So we're just going to fill some of these up now. And so we've got our piping bag. If you don't have a piping bag, just use like a sandwich bag. Fill up obviously the ricotta filling in there. Just cut the corner slightly and you can squish that down and use that as a piping bag. So we're just going to pipe in on each side. Like so. Perfect. And the other side. Go. There's one. And then what I've got here, I've just got some finely diced candied fruit, which is perfect. So traditionally, Italians would stick a piece of candied fruit on the end of the cannoli. So we're just going to pop some of them on here. Now you could use just cherries, or pistachios is another idea, or even dip the ends in chocolate. So yeah, that one would be absolutely perfect. So we just pop that here onto our board and then fill the next one. You know, even cocoa powder or anything like that would be absolutely fantastic on the end of these. And finally, fresh cannoli is not served without a good lashing of icing sugar, so we'll just pop some of that on. So there we go. Amazing, absolutely amazing cannoli. Really enjoyed making this. It's been a long time coming to try and find them, but there we are. My homemade cannoli. Proper Italian cuisine that's so hard to get here. So if you want to learn how to make this, come along to my demonstrations. Read my blog as well and follow me on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, etc. It's been a pleasure to show you this, and thanks for watching.
I always wondered what it'd be like if Italians made the movie Edward Scissorhands.
Ah, something like this, The Godfather.
Forget about it.